Start by first acknowledging everyone that made this event possible. To my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, thank you for birthing inside of me a passion to give back to my community. To Willie Holmes and Demetrius Likes, thank you for entrusting me and empowering me to stand before the entire city of Fullerton on your behalf. In addition, I would like to thank all of our speakers today standing in unity with us representing their organizations, including the NAACP, Young Dems, Fullerton College, Progressive Interfaith Alliance, Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Create Change, Joe Dunn, Arab American Caucus, Irvine City Council, Eddie Clark, who will be delivering a musical selection, and Jaleesa Wilson, who will recite a poem. And finally, I would like to thank the Fullerton Police Department, especially Chief Hughes, for taking a chance on us and supporting us throughout the entire manifestation of More Than a Hashtag, for your kind words, sincere heart, and most importantly, your outstanding service to our community. Thank you. As we know, there has been an alarming rate of police-involved shootings of unarmed black men and women around the country. I stand before you today to not only highlight these events, but inspire people to seek change within our community. On Monday, July 11th, myself, Willie Holmes, and Demetrius Likes individually entered the Fullerton Police Station at different times to discuss our concerns in regard to the increasing amount of violence portrayed by those who have been chosen to protect and serve our communities. That very same night, our platform More Than a Hashtag was born. Our concept derived from the hashtags on social media that recognize the victims of police brutality, such as Trayvon Martin, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, and the list continues to grow, and the hashtags of all of the officers who have fallen in the line of duty. More Than a Hashtag was created to bridge a gap between the community and the police department. We are here to set the standard of dignity. More Than a Hashtag seeks to model the proper approach of community interactions with the police department. We inspire each and every last one of you to begin stepping outside of your comfort zone and become more involved in your community. It is our job as a community to hold each other accountable when facing injustices. We should not wait until something happens in our community to become concerned. It is easy to have uncomfortable conversations behind closed doors, but what change does that inflict? Yes, Black Lives Matter. However, that does not negate the fact that we all matter today. By merely starting the conversation together and taking appropriate action within our communities, we advance in a step towards promoting the change that we all want to see. But how can we obtain unity if we are divided? How can we seek justice if we do not confront what is taking place? And for this reason, we are all gathered here today. We've come here to educate ourselves in hopes to find peace and work together to maintain unity and peace in our community. At this time, we would like to take a moment of silence for all of the officers who have fallen today in Louisiana and all of the victims who have lost their lives due to all these tragedies. Thank you.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains, through the prairies, through the ocean, wide with snow. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you, Eddie Clark, for that rendition. Next, we're going to have Chief Hughes, the Chief of Fullerton Police, talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Willie. I only found out about 15 seconds ago that I'm going to be speaking to you. So he'll probably get a parking ticket a little bit later, I'm sure. Listen, on behalf of the City of Fullerton, welcome to the City of Fullerton. For those of you who are visiting, thank you for being here. I just want to share with you just real briefly why I think this is such an important moment and such an important day today. And why I think you should be very proud of three very young adults that are really trying to make a positive difference, and not just in this community, but really to shine as a role model and example for all the communities, not only in Orange County, but across this nation. I was sitting in my office last week when all of a sudden I was told that there were two gentlemen who wanted to speak to me. And they didn't tell me why, but I said, well, have them come on up. And I had the opportunity to meet Demetrius and Willie. And as we spoke about what their concerns were, which was really about how do we have a trusting relationship with the police department if we don't have further engagement, and how do we change the concepts of having just shouting angry words at one another, and how do we really just have dialogue? And so we left there thinking about possibly doing an event like this. And what I didn't know, there was a phone message waiting for me, and it happened to be from Brianna. And Brianna, I called her back and started talking to her, and she was talking about the exact same things. And I was so very much impressed with these three young adults who decided that instead of shouting and screaming, they were going to have the courage to come and say, I want to talk to the police chief right now, and will he speak to me? And as I spoke to Brianna on the phone, what I found out is not only is she just an incredibly talented and amazing young woman, but that we had so much in common. What I found out is that my wife actually taught her sister in a private Christian school, that we grew up very similar areas, that we attended very similar schools. And as we began talking, I also found out that she has an interest in being a police officer one day. And I'm glad to report that if she follows through on the 19th, she'll be turning her application in with the Fullerton Police Department. And so, again, not having anything prepared, I just want to welcome you. I want you to know that what you're seeing with these three individuals are exactly what we need more in our community, and what I'm so very proud of. These are three young adults trying to make enormous impact, and I think they're going to start it right here in Fullerton. And so, on behalf of the men and women from the Fullerton Police Department, I welcome you here. And hopefully we're gonna, once you have a march, we'll have some pizza waiting for you on your return, and have a great time today. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Chief. Next we'll have Brother Edward Clark from the NAACP as a representative. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Edward Clark. I am representing the NAACP. I also am a spiritual leader and educator in the city of Fullerton. Not only that, I've been in Fullerton, California all of my life. And I'm just so proud. I'm very grateful to be here to represent and to see this wonderful movement. I want to honor all of those that have had to lose their life for us to come together and to see that change is needed and it is necessary. I here am to support and to commend those that represent the Black Lives Matter movement. But as the Black Lives Matter, I thank and I support the Fullerton Police Department and the police departments all over our nation. If we can really see and if we can open our eyes, we know that there is a deeper trauma, there's a deeper situation and circumstance that goes beyond the black and white racial tension, the injustices between black lives and police brutality. There is a deeper force, an evil force that is permeating our nation, and we have to open up our eyes to see that. The war might look like it's against the black lives and the police department, but the war is against evil. There is an evil force here, and the only way that the evil is going to succeed and prosper is if the good people do nothing. I stand behind the Black Lives Movement. I stand behind the police department. I stand behind our nation, the good of this nation, the people that can bring our nation back again. But we have to know that the war is against good and evil, against love and hate. And those that will stand on the side of love, I ask you to stand with us today as we move forward to bring change. Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie, for that insightful speech. Next, we will have President of the Young Democrats, Jesse Ben-Ron. Thank you.
So hi everyone, yeah, my name is Jesse and I am the chair of the Orange County Young Democrats, but I am mainly here to acknowledge that this isn't a partisan issue, that whether you're Democrat or Republican or whatever there may be, there's plenty of common ground to find a solution that works for all of us. Secondly, I'd like to say that it is okay to be hypercritical of this country and our leadership and of each other. I think it is very truly American to do that. But I hope that we keep in mind that we're not hypercritical just to tear each other down, but to know that this country is always capable of better and that we recognize its faults and we go ahead and find solutions. Lastly, I just wanted to say that it is a campaign year and that you hold your political leaders and each other to account. That before you vote for someone, you find out how they feel about this situation, that you call, you email them, and that they earn your vote. And then when they get elected, you say, hey, now start working on it. So what are you doing now to implement your solutions? Because without that, we're not going to get the change that we want, the change that we all want to see. So I would just emphasize that we hold our leaders to account, and that I am very honored to be here, and thank you very much, Willie, for allowing the Young Dems, because young people are doing a lot. I think young people recognize that there's a lot that this country is capable of, and I think that we are very active in doing that, and this generation is capable of creating a lot of change in Orange County and in the entire country.
Thanks, Jess. I appreciate that. Next, we will hear from AJ from the Progressive Faith Alliance. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. Progressive Interfaith Alliance is a dialogue organization, and we try to bring different groups from different diversities together to share in community and to strengthen community. And I'll have to admit that over the last few days, I probably have driven Willie crazy, because in all of our teachings at Progressive Interfaith and all of our work, we're trying to bring peace and love. And since the Orlando attack on the LGBT community, the Latino community, on the Muslim community, it has been one vigil after another. And it has been one group after another vying for power, vying for recognition. And on one end, and on the other end, it's been groups that have come together in great support, in great numbers, and have done things that they've never done before. In those first couple days after the Orlando attack, we saw Muslims stand in the heat of the Orlando weather in the middle of Ramadan while fasting to give blood, which is something that culturally is not generally done to begin with. But to do it for the LGBT community was absolutely amazing. So we've seen these things happen within the communities. But I also had great fear. I talked to Willie this week and I said, we need to make sure we reach out to certain groups, because I've also attended rallies of peace where there have been hecklers standing in the middle of groups, heckling. And I've noticed that these are the same people that I stood at other rallies with weeks before, asking for support and love and kindness. So we have to realize that our bridges have to be built with each other. And so I'm going to ask that we do that today, and we do this going forward. I was talking to just a few people before we started, and we have to remember that the moral arc of justice is long, and it's tenuous, and it needs steadfast care. It can't end with these rallies, it can't end with these vigils, it can't end with these prayer services. It has to continue going forward. So I'd like to ask you to please stand with me. So if everyone can stand with me. I want you to set anything down that you have in your hands. I'd like you to look at your right hand. And as you look at your right hand, just imagine and place in it all the pain that you've suffered, all the angst that you're going through, all the suffering you see in the world, and just hold it. Just hold it for just a moment. And then I'd like you to look at your left hand. And in your left hand, I want you to take all the strength that you can muster from your feet, from your ankles, from your legs, from your gut, from your soul, from your mind. Take all that strength and put it in your left hand and hold it. And just let it be. And now, I want you to take the hand of the person next to you. And I want you to, as you take that person's hand, know, so please take that person's hand and know that all that angst, all that worry, all that stress, all that pain is being held by that person next to you. It is being held by their strength, by their goodness, by their power. They will support you when you are down. And you will support that person next to you. You will give each other strength. We will give each other strength. And when we are at our lowest moments and our lowest times, we know there is always somebody out there offering their hand. And we have to, in turn, offer ours. Amen. Thank you.
So you already made that.
Thank you, AJ. I appreciate it. Next, we will have Carlos Munoz from the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as the Vice President.
Sorry, folks, for my wardrobe this morning. We were at a Life and Hope Foundation picnic earlier. As the chamber, we get involved with a lot of events. And when Willie and Matt reached out to me and they said they were going to do this, I was very impressed with how young they are and what they're looking to do. So why don't we give them a big round of applause. I'm glad to see that it's our youth leading this as well as us, working with them together. We also want to thank the Fullerton Police Department for being out here. Let's give them a big round of applause. I like to clap a lot, so make sure you guys can clap. It's very interesting what's going on in this community, and I'm glad that the young gentleman took the time to put us all together. When I'm out there talking to businesses about business in general, I tell them, look, don't look at color, don't look at anything, just look at business in general. And at the end of the day, it's not about, what's going on here. It's about Orange County. We're all together. We're all equal. We're all the same race. Before we have a culture, we have everything. So we need to start treating each other like humans first, and then we have our culture and everything. So I was very excited to be here. I think this is a great thing. We look forward to do more things with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and as well as with the police department. Just to make sure that we go out and talk to our communities. It's very important that we talk to our communities and let them know what's going on. Make sure we educate our parents on how their kids are dressed, and when you do get pulled over by a police officer, make sure you are respectful. They are here to help us. They are here to take care of us, and without them, we would have tremendous chaos. So this has to work together. We just have to not put ourselves in that situation when we have to be treated that way. Somebody pulled you over. How you doing, officer? Thank you, officer. Thank you for doing a great job. You go on and have a great day. Because they're here for that reason, to protect us. It's unfortunate that we have some individuals out there that don't see it that way, but that doesn't mean that all of them are like that. And it starts within our community. It starts with us. We need to talk to our kids. We need to let them know, hey, you know what? If you dress that way, you're going to get treated a certain way. I know I'm wearing the Angel shirt right now and everything because we're at a picnic, but nowadays, sometimes even wearing the wrong jersey may be a problem, and luckily the Angels are not doing that well right now, so not in no trouble or anything. It's only when they're doing well, you know what I mean? But, I do ask that we all work together collectively and that we don't see color, that we see people. And at the end of the day, this is about Fullerton. It's about the rest of Orange County, and at the end of the day, it's about this world and what we can do with this nation. So I do want to thank you guys for allowing me to give me the time to speak here on the way up here about what am I going to say? You know what I mean? What can I possibly say? But the one thing that I know that's important is that we work together and that we educate our people and that we don't ignore this problem, because this problem could really escalate to other things that are not necessary. So it's important that we continue working together and that we keep supporting whatever the young kids do. So Willie, Matt, good job, gentlemen. Thank you for everything you guys do. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Carlos. Next, we will have Kevin Welbeck from Create the Change. Will you give him a hand?
Good afternoon. I am Kevin Welbeck from Create the Change. I'm coming from Los Angeles, but I was actually born and raised for the first half of my life in Anaheim. So it is pretty good to be out here, angels all day. You know. I want to first just thank you all. Can you guys give yourselves a round of applause? Like honestly, I'm thanking you because you guys are here. With all the chaos going on, through all the anger, through all the hurt, through all the emotion, through even feeling helpless, you guys still decided to come out today because you believe in something better. You believe that there's still a chance for change, and you're willing to fight for it, and that is deserving of thanks. So one more time for you guys. I also want to address, I have to address what happened in Baton Rouge. That it was wrong. There's nothing else to say about it. It was wrong. And what happened in Dallas was wrong. And I personally have a huge love, respect, and appreciation for law enforcement, and I mourn with the loved ones of those officers who did pass, and the officers here today. I appreciate you, and I stand with you, and can we just show them some love? It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to have these feelings, but to act out on it, that's not what's going to bring the change that we desire to seek. We can be angry in our own time, but when we come together, we have to come with wisdom and strategy and really face the things that are really holding us down. There's no way by using violence and by using hate and by using evil that we'll take steps forward. That only brings us backwards, and we do not have time for that at all. We know our issues, our fight is not with law enforcement. It's with a broken system. There's a broken system that has been in place that was made to not acknowledge or respect people that look like me. A system that allowed incidents like Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, Eric Gardner, and even now Alton Sterling and Philando Castile to go without justice. This is a system that we need to really nip in the bud. We need to fight, we need to fix, and we need to do everything in our power to fix that system. It's time for America to see us as people. See us as people, or for all of us as people, not in spite of our color, but because of the beauty of our individual colors that make us who we are. Trump is saying, let's make America great again. But when I look at this crowd, I see African Americans, Caucasians, Asians, Hispanics, and many more coming together for a cause. People standing united as one for justice. This is what America being great really looks like. This is what America being great looks like. And until the rest of the nation can see what I see right now, I personally am not going to stop fighting until we see true change in this country. Things are going to change, and I encourage you guys, do not stop fighting. Keep doing what you're doing. No matter how hard it gets, no matter what comes, keep doing what you're doing. Keep marching. Keep protesting. And when the hype starts to fade down, make even more noise, because we can't just go back to doing life as normal. Or if we do, the next thing is going to happen again, and we're going to be posting hashtags, and we're going to be upset again. And we cannot keep in that cycle. We have to do something different. Take your fight to the next level. Educate yourself. Learn about the politicians. Learn about the system that we're fighting. Learn about the people who are running for offices, and then vote. Make sure you encourage each other to vote. Vote the right people to replace the wrong people in offices so that we can get the things that we need done. And not just at the presidential level, but in the state and the local level as well. We can fight together. Build your communities. Build your communities. Love on one another. Officers, find out ways to build a better relationship with the community. Community, do the same thing, vice versa. Make sure that you take it upon yourself individually to love on every single individual that you see, because love will change things. It starts from the heart. It starts from the inside. And if we keep on doing this, if we keep on fighting, we promise not to relent, we will create the change that we wish to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Next, we will have Joe Dunn.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Okay, wait a minute. Is there anything more in society that should stir up our passion than what we're facing today? Let's try that again. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
There we go, a little better. I won't run you through it again. I want to share something that has been underway here in Orange County that only a handful of us know about it, and that's what I decided to speak about today when Willie asked me to share a few comments. But before I do that, I, like all of the previous speakers, want to offer my sincere thanks to our great organizers here, to my fellow speakers, and of course, Chief, to you and the entire Fullerton Police Department. Thank you, and thank you all for being here today. You know, we're sadly watching a national tour from places like Orlando to Baton Rouge to my home state of Minnesota, which usually is known as a pretty tolerant state, to Dallas, and now we're back in Baton Rouge again today. And the response to all of that tragedy seems to be an awful lot of rhetoric. You know, we watched as some of our national leaders and candidates, when the Black Lives Matter movement first surfaced, responding with, in all sincerity, but all lives matter. When in fact, well, of course that's true, but that misses the point of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's about focusing in how, for example, a young African-American male in society, in American society today, faces challenges that I don't. And that's not right. And at the same time, we have rhetoric that sees every one of these incidents and wants to blame every police officer. When, yeah, there's a few bad actors. The vast majority are honest, decent men and women trying to do and perform a very difficult task in society. Oftentimes being very young, in many situations with inadequate training and inadequate support. As is true in most complicated situations in life, there's blame that goes all around. Nobody's free of it. None of us. So what I want to do today is share something with you that moves beyond the rhetoric, that moves beyond simply hoping for a better society as we go forward. And that's something you're going to hear about in a very formal announcement in about 3 weeks. And that something is emanating right here from Orange County. That something is actually a solution. So what is that something? About 8 months ago, a very small group of us, myself included, including some of the top law enforcement personnel in the country, some of the top academics, some of the top community activists that care about the degrading trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve. And what we decided was missing was an institute, a research institute, that can look at, through independent, academic-based research, the challenge we see occurring, whether they be evolving the science of policing. And Chief, I won't pick on you, but I bet you every chief in the United States would say, we need to evolve the science of policing in today's society. To the issues that are eroding the trust with our community. To examine these not from any preset ideological basis, but rather to come together, decide which issues we need to focus in on, and leave it to an independent academic-based research to examine these issues without emotion, without ideology, but to use the greatest gift we've all been given, our mind, to identify how we solve these. This is not a short-term solution, but it's about evolving the science of policing and the relationship that our communities have with our law enforcement today. Not from yesterday, not even today, but looking forward. Only if we go back and trust not our political beliefs, not our ideology, but our intellect, we find these answers. And when you hear the announcement of the formation of that institute, you'll discover it's the first in the nation to examine these issues in that sort of setting. We can push the rhetoric aside, we can push the politics aside, we can push the ideology aside. Trust our intellect, all of our intellect, collectively, to guide the steps forward for real live solutions. Not rhetoric, not talk, not partisanship, not ideology, just solutions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Joe Dunn. Next, we will have Mervet from the Arab American Caucus. Thanks, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. My name is Mervet Judah Maita, and I'm with the Arab American Caucus and the Arab American Civic Council. And I am honored and emotionally moved to stand with all of you today. To stand with you, the city of Fullerton, the Fullerton PD, various faiths, communities, leaders, and organizations in unity on this beautiful day. I would like to thank you for putting this together. You are the future. And thank you for leading a brighter future. We all stand here, united against violence, all forms of bigotry, racism, and hate. As an American Muslim and a Puerto Rican-born Arab, our community, as well as the Black, LGBTQ, Latino, and other communities, have been targets of hate speech, crimes, racism, and prejudice. Of course, no community historically has been under attack and subject to racism and prejudice like the Black and African American communities have since the beginning of time. Hence the movement #Black Lives Matter. Because when Black Lives matter, when Black lives begin to matter, all lives will matter. When Black individuals like Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Alto Sterling, Sandra Bland, and countless others tragically lose their lives by law enforcement, regardless of intent, we as a nation need to take a hard look at ourselves. Tragedies like what occurred in Dallas, Texas last week, and in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this morning, where a total of 8 police officers, Lauren Ahrens, Michael Kroll, Michael J. Smith, Brent Thompson, Patrick Zampira, and Montrell Jackson, who just died this morning. He died this morning when just a week ago he was saying, "Hey man, I love everybody. Do you love me?" The other 2 officers were not identified. All these were targeted murders and seems to be associated with a hostile social and political climate in our nation that needs to be condemned, as this will only compound the anger and violence in our great country. I believe that the vast majority of police officers are fair and just and genuinely put their lives on the line every day to protect us. The policing system needs reform, and that is apparent due to injustices in our past and present. But the anger and the blame game needs to stop. It needs to stop. Events like these that are unifying instead of divisive are necessary and need to be the trend in order for the healing to begin. Yes, change needs to happen in our nation. However, it starts in our homes and in our hearts. We need to choose the right leaders, not the ones we think are going to win, the ones that should win, the ones that represent the people. We need to start collaborating, discussing, learning, and being respectful and showing compassion for one another. Change takes time, but it will happen if we do it together. Racism and hate and prejudice should have no place in our great nation because it goes against our values as Americans. To hurt one of us is to hurt all of us.